You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening. So glad to be back. Glad you're back. Assuming you're back. Anyway, been a busy couple of days around the globe. We're going to talk about Brussels here soon. I didn't want to start with them because I'm going to dedicate a lot of tonight to that and the fallout from it that's happened already. So we're going to kick off tonight's show. Just a quick recap. There were actually people in the United States that were voting yesterday. Yeah, I know. It is almost completely overshadowed by the ISIS attacks in Brussels. But we did have Arizona primary, and we did have Utah primary. And the Democrats also had Idaho. So since we don't really care about the Democrats, we're not even going to talk about them. We know what's going to happen there anyway. And Hillary's just biding her time. She is, let's say, anxiously awaiting Bernie to drop out, but she knows that she can't force him because she's going to need
All right, folks, bear with me for a moment. We seem to have lost Grouchy on his side of the equation, so I'm going to try to get him back here. We're going to probably go ahead and take a really quick break while I'm trying to get that sorted out. This is what happens when two guys in the country...
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get sad again.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
All right. Sorry about that, folks. Not sure what happened to the old internet connection there, but, not only do I work with one of the finest radio show hosts around on Internet Talk Radio in Rick Robinson, he's also one of the finest producers around, and I'm sure he made that seem just about seamless to you. But I'll fess up. It was probably on my end. It's what happens when you live down on the... we'll call it the end of the road down here before you dive into the Gulf of Mexico. Sometimes the connection just isn't always what it's cracked up to be. But anyway, when we left off, we were talking about how it seemed that states that were heavily populated with those of the Mormon faith tend to be more even-keeled thinkers and not knee-jerk reactionaries like a lot of Trump supporters, and that would probably explain why they voted for Cruz in the top 3 states in the U.S. populated with people of the Muslim, or not Muslim faith, the Mormon faith. We don't know how the Muslims voted. At least I don't. I'm sure somebody does, but anyway. And I don't know if this went out over the air before the connection was lost or not, but I am not a Mormon, so no definite favoritism leaning there on my part. I've known a couple. They were good people, but they are, they're just good people. So anyway, that pretty much sums up Tuesday night's primaries. Trump takes the 55 delegates from Arizona. Cruz takes, I think it was like 44, 43, 42, somewhere in that neighborhood from Utah. And again, nobody cares about the Democrats, so we don't really give a crap about their caucus that went on yesterday. But this is, we're moving into a kind of a slow season now with the primary season. It kind of goes into a lull. We don't really have anything for about 2 weeks now. So, this is a great time for candidates to, be making deals with former candidates, donors, and things of that nature. We've seen a little bit of that from both sides. You got Trump has obviously cut a deal of some kind with Christie and Carson to get them in his camp, especially the way he berated them early on in the primary season. There's obviously some kind of quid pro quo there. And I have to wonder if the Bush endorsement of Cruz was leveraged against anything. From everything we know about Cruz, he's a stand-up guy and he doesn't take crap and he's just not going to play the games. That being said, the Bushes do play the games, and there's no way they try to ring Jeb back out as a candidate at a contested convention. I just can't imagine Reince and the rest of the GOP being that stupid, knowing that it would fracture the party forever. Just beyond, it's fractured now, but this would just shatter it to bits. And I mean like the glass I break at the start of the show. So I'm wondering if this has more to do with a down the road consideration type thing, even though I heard some other congressmen and senators, since Jeb's endorsement, come out and say that they know Cruz and there's no way he cut a deal. Man, we're talking about being the president of the greatest nation in the world. And while I would like to think that a lot of these people that were in the race, that are no longer in the race, would do the right thing just for the sake of country, I know better. Okay, I do. And I want to put all my trust into Cruz, but the truth of the matter is, and it's not Cruz's fault because he's not done anything personally or politically that I'm aware of to dissuade that trust, but I just don't trust any of them that much anymore. Any of them in D.C., any of them that want to be in D.C. So it's a unique conundrum. The name that keeps getting trotted out for a contested convention is Paul Ryan. If we were gonna take Paul Ryan and accept him as a candidate, well, we probably would have voted the Ryan Romney ticket 4 years ago and put Obama out of office when we had the chance. Just don't feel it. And the other two names that have been floated by GOP establishment insiders were Kelly Ayotte, which I talked about last week, and really about the only thing we have to do with Ayotte is just laugh, because that's just a non-starter, completely non-starter. And even worse than Ayotte would be trotting Bush back out to try to force Bush down our throats. So, did Jeb Bush do this just for the good of the GOP? Man, I sure hope so. But I'm skeptical. And anyway, that's enough of that. So, the big story is, of course, Brussels. And yesterday we had bombs going off at the airport and in the city's subway, the metro. The latest numbers I have seen are 36 dead and approximately 200 wounded. And, we have no doubt ISIS has claimed responsibility. We've seen the video footage by now. I'm sorry, maybe it's me. When I saw the video footage, they didn't have to really freeze frame it and circle and dim the rest of the picture around the circles when they were trying to highlight the one-gloved hands on these two guys as they were pushing a cart through the airport. They're both wearing a glove on their left hand, but not their right. How does airport security not learn to pick this up and their first thought be dead man switch? I don't get how these guys just paraded right through the middle of the airport and nobody noticed this. And maybe it's me from when I was military. Maybe it had something to do with the classes I took in, I guess, profiling, for lack of a better term, about being aware of your surroundings and circumstances and situations, and pay attention to what people are wearing in case you have to describe them to authorities later. What they were acting like. Did they have nervous tics? All these things add up. Who could not have seen this as they just traipsed right through the middle of the airport? I mean, and I'm not saying that this could have been stopped. They walked into the airport. They were wearing their suicide belts and or vests, whatever it turns out to be. The two airport blasts, at least one of them blamed on a suicide bomber. There could have been something else that triggered and exploded, but, windows were blown out, ceilings collapsed, travelers were running around the smoky building, blood on their arms and chests and hands and faces. And it was a pretty surreal scene to watch the footage. And then about an hour after the airport, another bomb goes off in the metro. And, there's some significance to why Brussels was chosen. Unofficial capital of the European Union. And, there's some conjecture now that some of the Americans that were on site there were targeted as they were military and military families. Maybe maybe not. The manhunt picked back up today. Yeah, I know. We got to talk about this too. Apparently at 9:30 p.m. local time, Brussels last night, the door-to-door search for the suspects ended. And I was scratching my head trying to figure out why when I heard this. Why would you end a search? when you're hot on the heels after a known terrorist who could possibly be planning more strikes or have a fallback position to refortify and at least take out police when they close in on him. So it turns out that they suspended the search because it's a national law in Belgium that police cannot do warranted door-to-door search type activities between the hours of 9:30 p.m. and 5:30 a.m. Because apparently terrorists need their beauty sleep too when in Belgium. Now, after these events, I think that this is a law that just strikes from the book. But definitely there should be some considerations, made and added to this law that support the round-the-clock, pursuit of terror suspects, especially active terror incident suspects. And I know that somebody's going to come up with this kind of thought because there are already Belgian officials screaming about how they need to close their borders, which, I don't think the event that happened is funny, but I think the irony of them now thinking we should close our borders after doing this big European Union thing where people can pass from country to country without any kind of check, you have to know that something like this is going to happen. And the question of the day on all the talk radio I've listened to, all the news channels, they're all asking Americans, are you scared something like this could happen here? Are you terrified of this? Are you frightened of this? Does it affect your daily, routines? Anything like that? And, my answer is no, I'm not scared. And that alone should say something. And I'm going to explain why I'm not scared. And I'm not scared because I've come to the grips with the fact that it's going to happen here. It's just a matter of when. So I'm not scared of it. There's nothing I can do to stop it. Look, I'm a big 2A kind of guy, and I like to conceal carry. And I know millions of us out there like to conceal carry. Some of us like to open carry, which is great too. Some of us choose not to carry, but believe in 2A, which is great too. You shouldn't carry if you're not comfortable with a gun. You should know how to use it and use it properly. But let me tell you something, folks. All the bravado I've heard today, I'd shoot them some bitches, they'd never get a chance. No, you wouldn't. There's nothing that we can do as armed citizens to stop something like that. Okay? Somebody breaks into your house, blow them to hell and back. That's what our 2A right is for. Are you carrying on the street and somebody threatens you or your family? That's what your 2A rights are for. Okay? If you pull down on if you draw your weapon on somebody that's wearing a glove that you suspect is a dead man switch and you shoot them, the bomb still goes off. You may have changed where it goes off, but that bomb still goes off. And in all likelihood, you and those around you are dead because of the shrapnel from it. So, look, we're all conservatives out there, okay? Not everybody. I mean, the world's not perfect. But if you're listening to this program, odds are you're conservative. Be a common sense conservative, okay? When you see suspicious activity like this that could be terrorism, report it. Don't try to John Wayne it. Don't try to pull your weapon and be the justice. Because odds are you're going to make things worse than they already are. Let the professionals handle it. Even though it may seem like your local police force is Andy and Barney from Mayberry, even they get training on what to do in situations like this. Now, does that mean they can handle it alone? Not always. But even small town departments like the one where I'm at has a unit just for, special weapons and tactics. For all intents and purposes, it's a SWAT unit that does get some anti-terrorism training. Now, I don't know about you. I'm former military. I qualified marksman several times, actually. I've got oak leaf clusters on my marksman ribbon. I still know that a team of currently trained experts is better than what I can do by myself with my handgun. Even with multiple magazines. I mean, really. So let's use our heads. Let reason prevail. And let's learn from what happened in Belgium. Even in France, which neighbors Belgium, which is probably where this cell came from. We do know that this is related to the Paris attacks. These are the groups, or this cell is, part of Abdeslam, his group, this is them. They had plans to do other attacks. They just did it. Okay. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls said, "We are at war." French President Francois Hollande said terrorists struck Brussels, but it was Europe that was targeted, and it's the world which is concerned by this. Well, he's mostly right. Obama was so concerned that he took 3 minutes out of his baseball game to comment to ESPN about, what happened in Belgium. He didn't get up and leave the game, even though he said that stopping ISIS is his number one priority.
Hey, G, I don't mean to break in on you, but are you expecting a call? Because someone keeps calling the call-in line.
I'm not, but let's see what we got.
We lost him right as I was about to bring him over. They've called twice now, so if they answer again, I'll just bring them over, and hopefully it's somebody worth talking to.
Yeah, just fire me up a message on the screen. Let's talk.
Well, what I'm afraid of at this point is so many different people use the account, I think it may be somebody trying to get hold of somebody else.
There's always that too. So if you're out there trying to contact the program, please continue trying. We'll get you on air, I promise. Rick will answer the phone. He's great. If you're not trying to call, but maybe you want to, the number is 408-681-8255. That's 408-681-8255.
All right, well, here they come, so I'm going to bring them over. Hopefully it's somebody worth talking to.
Okay.
Hello, caller. This is Rick Robinson with K90 Talk. You are live on the air with Grouchy. How can we help you today?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Grouchy that he's a big vagina.
Hey, all right. If that's the worst I got to deal with, I can handle that.
And apparently that was all he wanted to say.
Apparently that's all he wanted to say. Well, okay. Hey, I've always welcomed hate calls too. I got no problem with taking a hate call.
But I mean, come on. If they're going to take the time to hate on you, they should at least give you time to give them a response. I'm just saying.
Well, truth be told, that caller sounded a little bit familiar to me. So while I can't confirm it was who I think it is, we'll just say that he can. Well, no, I'm not going to steal Sam's line.
I had a feeling this was going to have something to do with a bag of male genitalia.
Yeah, and how he can chew on it. Yeah, big bag of them. Anyway, that was probably a little try to get under my skin and make me flustered, but that doesn't work. You know me, I don't care about anything. So, anyway, European security officials have been bracing for a major attack for weeks and warned that ISIS or groups loyal to ISIS were preparing to strike actively. The arrest Friday of Salah Absalam, the key suspect in the November 13th attacks in Paris, heightened those fears, and investigators said many more people were involved than originally thought and that some are still on the loose. Well, yeah, we know that because you let them go last night instead of tracking them down like the scum vermin that they are. You called off your search to be civilized to people that need to go to bed. I'm sorry, I don't get that. I really don't. Anyway, as I said earlier, ISIS did claim responsibility for the Brussels attack, saying in a post on the group's news agency that its extremists opened fire in the airport and several of them detonated suicide belts. So, it is what it is. And caller confirmed I just got a text message saying that he's very happy he got to say vagina on the air. I'm glad you got to as well, my friend. I am glad you got to as well. Anyway, you're the second person to ever say that on my show, so keep that in mind. Second person. The first person was actually a woman, so you're even further behind than you think. Anyway, the Post claimed the attack was in response to Belgium's support of the international coalition arrayed against ISIS. And authorities found and neutralized a third bomb at the airport. Yes, apparently one of the coward pieces of crap dropped his suicide belt and left it unexploded on site because he's a real brave one. Anyway, bomb squads detonated suspicious objects found in at least 2 locations elsewhere in the capital, but neither contained explosive devices. They say there was no immediate evidence linking the attacks with Abdeslam. I disagree. But after his arrest, Abdeslam told authorities he had created a new network and was planning new attacks. And here we go. This is the best part. Remember, I referred to Obama at his little baseball game. He was seen before the game started running around the stadium screaming, "Have you seen my baseball?" But President Obama pledged to do, well, he said, quote, "do whatever is necessary," end quote, to help Belgian authorities seek justice. "We stand in solidarity with them in condemning these outrageous attacks against innocent people," where Obama said while vacationing in Havana. We've got Paris, we've got Belgium, or we'll say Brussels. We don't have to say the whole country of Belgium, but we have Paris, we have Brussels. We have 52 slain cops last year in the United States in the line of duty. We have a deceased First Lady. We have a dead Supreme Court Justice. And Obama hasn't attended the first funeral. Not the first. Now, if you'd like to get an idea, and that's, you take what you will about that on Obama. I think he's a piece of garbage myself, but, that's what it is. Western Europe has lived for decades under the threat of violence from homegrown nationalists. And these, by the way, these terrorists that set these devices off yesterday in Brussels were Belgian-born. So these are homegrown nationalists that converted or grew up Islamic. Muslim extremists from North Africa and the Middle East have attacked civilian targets without warning all across Europe, ranging from France's 1960s war in Algeria through Libya's 1988 downing of an airline over Scotland, to the 2004-2005 attacks on the public transit systems of London and Madrid, to these modern-day attacks, if you will. It's been a never-ending cycle with these group of extremists. And, you know, Cruz and Trump came out strong, of course. Events like this only help the GOP cause. And trust me, with the political infighting that's going on in this country, we could use all the help we can get, but that is not me endorsing more terrorist attacks, not in the least. So anyway, certain neighborhoods in Brussels, like the Molenbeek Quarter, have bred extremists and supplied foreign fighters. Plotters linked to the Paris attacks and others have either moved through or lived in parts of the city. Today's explosions at the airport in the Brussels suburb of Zaventem came shortly after 8 a.m. You know, it's a real busy time of the day, obviously rush hour type traffic. And this is a major metropolitan area, whether you know that or not, whether you've ever been to Europe or not. Belgian Health Minister Maggie de Block said 11 people were killed and 81 wounded. Obviously, those numbers have been increased as more intel was gathered. So, you know, that report was definitely one of the first ones that came out with the lower numbers. But folks, there's some really important things to take from this. One, you've got an open border issue here, okay? You have countries that are part of the European Union that are screaming for the borders to be shut down. They want to stop. You've got Sweden, I believe it is. It's either Sweden or Switzerland. I forget which one. Is about to deport 80,000 refugees. They're saying they cannot handle them and they are not welcome to stay. They're not willing to take the risk. So they're going to send them back. Where are they going to end up? Who knows? I'm sure many of them are trying to disperse on their own and make it to neighboring countries. I saw a video the other day of these quote-unquote refugees tearing down barbed wire walls at the border of Macedonia, trying to cross in. They were, you know, obviously trying to keep them out, and that did not work. These people were taking their clothing, I mean, literally disrobing, throwing it over the barbed wire, and then using the clothing to pull the barbed wire fence down and pull it out of the way so they could pass and cross into the country. They think they have a right to just go where they want to go and take what they want to take, hurt who they want to hurt, rape who they want to rape, and kill who they want to kill. This is where our 2A rights come in. This is what Obama can't stand, because he can't stand it that we're willing to stand up and defend our country when he's not. He doesn't think that they're doing anything that should be defended against. He's basically said it in as many words. You know, it's just unreal, the thought process that goes into a liberal's head, or the lack of thought in process that goes into a liberal's head. So in the aftermath of these bombs, You got governments from all over Europe wanting to hold and holding emergency consultations, raising security at airports, train stations, border crossings. Europeans grappled with all kinds of fears that the threat of terrorism may become part of their daily lives. Today, Angela Merkel in Germany was supposed to convene the German cabinet to discuss an in-depth response plan to the attack at Brussels. Why Germany would be working an in-depth response plan, I don't know, because if they didn't go on high alert at the borders and lock everything down instantaneously, they're already losing the battle. Merkel has been one of the biggest proponents of open borders and welcoming these refugees, and I think that she should share in some of the blame of this. Is she responsible for it? No. No, she's not. These people chose to commit an evil act, and they should accept their own personal responsibility for that. Angela Merkel enabled them. Whether you agree with that or not, we can debate that. I'm open. Give me some facts that point to her not enabling them. Give me facts that show me any European president, chancellor, whatever, prime minister, you name it, that is pro-open borders that did not enable this environment to be created. I'm willing to debate anybody on that. I don't think you have a leg to stand on, but, more power to you if you think you do. Merkel said, "Our strength is in unity, and that is how our free societies will prove themselves stronger than terrorism." Yes, don't fight them. Yeah, don't fight them, right, Angela? Just welcome them in. Let them destroy your history, your culture, your country, your people. Let them just take over. And that's how you'll prove yourself stronger than terrorism. Now, Germany's federal police did say they have increased security on the borders with Belgium and France, the Netherlands and Luxembourg, as well as at airports and railway stations. In France, who's already on a heightened state. I'm sorry, just a moment here, folks. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Just saw a message pop across my screen that I had to read, and it is not good news, but does not later in the program as we get ready to sign off. What do we have here? Where do I have this? Hang on just a second for me here. My notes got shuffled. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Producer, that's exactly what I was getting ready to ask you for. Do we have the John Bolton audio queued up on this?
Former ambassador, you obviously have to be very well versed in the consequences of using a private email to perhaps pass classified material. If you did that, I wonder what consequences you would have faced. Clearly, Hillary Clinton, I don't think that there's really much of a question at this time about whether she violated the law. Do you think that she's actually going to be indicted? Do you think that we're going to see action from the FBI and ultimately from the Justice Department?
Well, I think that the pressure is definitely building. And just to take the politics out of this for a second, what Hillary Clinton and her top aides did was not just make a few small violations of laws to protect classified information. They made wholesale violations, and they did it for a sustained, indeed, for a 4-year period. So this is far more serious than what happened to General Petraeus, and it's one reason why I think both the FBI and I believe the people in the Justice Department, the prosecutors who would oversee the handling of a case, are moving more and more to the conclusion that serious indictments are warranted here. Now, look, it's possible in this administration that politics can triumph over the legalities. But I think if that does happen, there's a real risk for Obama and for the Attorney General that the FBI will explode. And a lot of things that we don't know about that are not on the public record at the moment will come onto the public record. It may not be the same thing as firing Archibald Cox in the Watergate investigation, but if this potential prosecution is tanked for political reasons, it'll be a very loud explosion, and it will stain Obama's legacy forever. It will damage Loretta Lynch's professional reputation, and I think it will have a profound impact on the presidential election as well.
All right, that was former Ambassador John Bolton, friend of the program. If you did not know that, had the very very big privilege and honor of interviewing Ambassador Bolton last year. You can look on the archives for that, or hit me on Twitter, and I'll point you to it. But in January, the State Department confirmed that Hillary Clinton's private email server, which she kept in her upstate New York home, contained at least 22 top-secret emails. David Petraeus, former director of the CIA, pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of mishandling classified information after he admitted sharing military secrets with his mistress in 2011 for the biography she was writing about him. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation for what a federal judge called a serious lapse of judgment. Now, we also know that from the email dumps that have come out since the server was seized, that there have been now more than 22 classified / top secret emails that were, shall we say, shuttled through Hillary's private email server. The number is pretty big. This is a huge mistake on Hillary's part. And I think Ambassador Bolton summed it up very nicely when he said that if they do not do something with this investigation, that the FBI will explode. I think that James Comey has made it very clear that he, quite frankly, doesn't care whose political office gets sullied by this. He will follow it wherever it goes. He definitely wants justice to be served in this matter. And I think it's important. I think it's very important that it is. First of all, Hillary lied about the server to begin with. She lied about her devices. She lied about what was contained. She lied about what she deleted. She lied about how it was deleted. She lied about who was responsible for it. How the hell can anybody trust this woman to be president of the United States? Hey, there's that lie detector Hillary wants on all political speeches. I mean, Rick, help me out a second here. Who is it up there in D.C. that does the Pinocchios? Is that the Post or the Examiner? Or
I do believe it's the Examiner, but I'm kind of pulling it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it is too. But somebody wrote an article that said Hillary broke Pinocchio's nose. And they were referring to the number of lies that she told in one speech, and how they fact checked that. And they, normally the Pinocchios awarded are 1 through 4, with 4 being really, really bad. They came out and said that Hillary broke Pinocchio's nose. She lied so much. Folks, how in the world? And you know, oh God, let me go ahead and stop here for a second.
I said corrected. It was the Post.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said corrected. It was the Post.
It was the Post. Okay, so it was the WAPO. Look, Hillary is Hillary, and we know this. We know Hillary is going to lie. We know that Hillary is a socialist. We know that she has a very strong left-wing agenda. But I'll say this about Hillary. Her position is her position. We got a guy running on the Republican ticket, and he's the front runner right now. And he seems to be able to change his position like a 12-year-old needs to change underwear. It literally, his position changes could be titled The Fast and Furious. I don't know. Well, that's not true. I do know what I'm going to do if those two are the two left standing in the end. I do know, and we don't have to go into that. We went into that last week. So, but I want to bounce back, and I want to talk about Obama and his little Cuba trip. You know, he's in a joint press conference with Raul Castro on Monday. He said he welcomed Castro's criticism of the U.S. When Castro blamed us for their poverty. And Obama said, I actually welcome President Castro commenting on some of the areas where he feels we're falling short, because I think we should not be immune or afraid of criticism or discussion as well. And this is Obama's way of kissing their ass, in case you didn't know. Obama was responding to a reporter's question about whether the communist country has Cuban political prisoners and why Castro won't release them. Obama said the two had a very frank conversation around the issues of democracy and human rights. He said that President Castro has pointed out that, in his view, making sure that everybody's getting a decent education or health care has basic security in old age, and those things are human rights as well. I personally would not disagree with him, Obama said, but it doesn't detract from some of these other concerns, and the goal of the human rights dialogue is not for the United States to dictate to Cuba how they should govern themselves, but to make sure that we are having a frank and candid conversation around this issue, and hopefully that we can learn from each other, he said. It does not mean that it has to be the only issue we talk about. Economics, health, scientific exchanges, international cooperation on issues of regional as well as global import are also important. So global importance is important. Way to go. What a genius. He said this is something we're going to have to stay on. And I actually welcome President Castro commenting on some of the areas where he feels we're falling short. Now, why the hell does Obama want to normalize things with Cuba? What is it? Okay, look, health. They have socialized health. It's horrible down there. Anybody thinks Cuba has a good healthcare system? Haul your butt down there and go get cancer treatment. Okay? Just go. See what happens. Economics? What do we want to, what do we want? What are we going to get in the United States? We're going to get cheap labor from Cubans? And by the way, they're coming in droves. Now that provisional law from the 60s, the Cuban Adjustment Act, I believe it's called, of 1964, they're coming to Mexico and then crossing our southern border in droves right now. we're going to be flooded more with cheap labor. This takes American jobs away. Are we going to outsource jobs to Cuba? I'm sure some companies will. That's going to send more American jobs away. Is Cuba going to flood the market here in the United States with their sugar? I hope not, because that's going to kill American jobs in South Florida and Louisiana and maybe even Hawaii if we flood our market with Cuban sugar. What the hell is it that President Obama really thinks that the United States is going to benefit from for bending over and kissing Cuba's ass? Where is this economic issue that he thinks that we're going to benefit from? What is it? He won't tell anybody. Nobody seems to know. Scientific exchanges? When's the last time that you heard of any kind of consequential scientific discovery or advancement coming from Cuba? International cooperation on issues of regional as well as global import was the other thing Obama said. Why? Because we need Cuba's military support. We need Cuba's, we don't have enough shipping ports here in the United States. We need to use Cuban ship ports. What are you getting at? Again, I fail to see where there's any benefit to the United States from this. I just don't see it. And Mr. Producer, do we have the Paul Ryan audio?
No, just kidding. Hang on.
Yeah. You got to hear this, too, because Ryan chimed in on this Cuba thing, too.
Ryan, what do you think of the president's trip to Cuba?
Not much. I think it's fairly ironic. We had the APAC conference yesterday where we were talking about standing up with our allies, fighting for freedom, standing up for national security, and the president takes a trip to Cuba where he effectively gets nothing in return, and he legitimizes a tyrannical dictatorship. The irony was not lost on me.
There you go.
A tyrannical dictatorship that he says he welcomes criticism from, by the way. Just saying.
Yes, he welcomes criticism from a tyrannical dictatorship who was proven as recently as just last May to be a state sponsor of terror. Now, put that in your pipe and smoke it if you're a liberal that thinks Obama's doing a great thing by going to Cuba. Okay? Because if we can prove that they were supporting terrorism as early as last May, do you really think that they're not still supporting it? Do you think they just, Barack's going to come to Cuba. We can just stop supporting terrorism. We don't have any need for that anymore. Delusional, folks. That's all I have to say about it. It's unfathomable that this man thinks that with APAC going on, and if you don't know what APAC is, I don't know what the acronym actually stands for, but basically, let me tell you that this is a largely Jewish organization, political action committee, and why in the hell do
it stands for? Hang on, it stands for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
There you go. Okay, Public Affairs Committee for America and Israel, and this is supposed to be like the bridging organization between Americans and Israelis. These people are good people, and what I don't get is how you can watch what Obama has done for the last 7 years, and there's still a majority of Jewish Americans that support him. How? Why? what the hell is the thought process of a man who won't lift a finger to do a damn thing for, I don't want to call it your homeland because you're obviously Americans, but you are Americans of Israeli descent. This is like the motherland, Israel is our ally. Israel is our only real ally in the Middle East. And Obama won't do a damn thing for them. He's doing plenty for everybody else around him. Iran's getting nukes, and they got billions of dollars back that we had frozen on the world market. They're now allowed to sell their oil on the world market so they can make billions more to further their nuclear program that they say isn't related to weaponry. Right. Anyway, just some food for thought. Do your homework. You don't have to take my word for it. The facts are out there. All you got to do is research it. As always, it's just me. I'm going to do all the homework for you, but don't take my word for it. Do it yourself. Take some personal responsibility. Fire up some initiative. Educate yourself on some of these topics. Folks, there's a lot of things going on in this world that we don't even know about. I try to dig for them more so than the big stories. This was a really big story tonight, though. We had to cover Brussels. I had to do Cuba. We had to get behind Cuba. And Hemi, I don't know if you're listening out there tonight. That message, Rick, I don't know if you saw that or not when it came across. Hemi, your friends remain in our thoughts and prayers here, my friend. And God bless them. And may it be peaceful and painless and quick. It is not good news, and I'm sorry to hear that. And folks, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Top of the hour. And remember this, if you like the show, tell a friend. If your friends like the show, you probably need new friends, but they and you will be welcome back. Programming note before we hit the music, though, there will not be a live Conservative Curmudgeon show next Wednesday. Sorry, Rick, I know you didn't know that, but...
Slacker! I call shenanigans, you slacker.
It's spring break. Cut me some slack. Even the grouch needs a vacation.
Whatever, slacker.
But anyway... I will be compiling news stories of importance and doing my homework as usual.
Hey, look at it this way. At least you can't leave those notes at work.
What's that?
I said, look at it this way. At least you won't be able to leave those notes at work.
No, I will not be able to leave those notes at work like I did last week. That is absolutely correct, and that is a plus. So anyway, in 2 hours, are you on tonight?
Yes, sir. I will be on.
Yes, sir, you will be. In 2 hours, Rick will be back with America Off the Rails. Do yourself a favor and tune in. It's past my bedtime, so I can't. I always catch them the next day. But I promise you it is worthwhile, whether you do it like I do or whether you catch them live. Just catch them, because it is worth it. And my friends, that's going to do it for this week. I will see you live in 2 weeks. Tune in for a best of next week. God bless.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Now get started.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.